evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman, joined by meteorologist Emily Owen. We wanted to go and give you a deep dive and talk about the threat for severe weather across the Tennessee Valley. And I think one of the big reasons I wanted to do this is because social media is a very powerful tool. And I don't necessarily mean that in the nicest way possible.
No.
And so part of what Emily and I want to do is kind of give you some insight into what we've been discussing for the last couple of days, because it's important, right, to talk about the threat of severe weather, but then it is equally as important to talk about all of the limiting factors that are at play.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what I posted on my Facebook yesterday, which is a plug. If you don't follow me on Facebook or Jordan, make sure you follow us both, because we are going to post the latest information as soon as we get it in regards to the system. But models that we use for forecasting is a guidance. It's not an absolute guarantee that we're going to see an outbreak of tornadoes tomorrow by any means.
Right.
It's just more so we're continuing and consistently seeing trends on different weather models that are kind of hinting that we could see some severe weather heading into specifically the afternoon tomorrow, and some of these could be on the very, very dangerous side.
Yeah, no, we certainly don't want to undermine the fact that there is a very significant threat of potential severe weather across the Tennessee Valley. But at the same time, there are also a lot of reasons as to why such a threat might not actually come to fruition. And so we want to make sure we talk about all of those. So first and foremost, we are looking at a FOX54 weather impact alert day as we head into Saturday. And it's literally going to be 12 a.m. Saturday to 12 p.m. on Sunday. Now, running it to 12 p.m. on Sunday, we're really overdoing it a little bit, but I want to get the message across. The overall threat for severe weather is probably going to be done by like 6 o'clock in the morning. And again, it's rather obvious at this point. We're talking about the threat of severe weather. And there's a couple of things people can do now. They should have the FOX54 app. You should be following Emily on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and type in Emily Owen. You'll find it. You should also be following me on Facebook, Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Again, like Emily was telling you a couple of seconds ago, we're going to have a lot of updates on Facebook over the next several hours. And then people should have their severe weather plan kind of refined.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I know I was talking about it on my Facebook Live earlier, specifically my plan for when I was not a degreed meteorologist and didn't work at a television station, because obviously if we have severe weather or tornado warnings, we're going to be here. We have a safe plan for our employees here, but we're going to stay on the screen, as long as we can to make sure that you guys get as much information as possible to stay safe. But your safety plan needs to be where you're going to go if we do have a tornado warning that does become issued for your specific location, and make sure that you have everything that's important to you with you. Just God forbid, if you do see a tornado come down your street and your house does get impacted by it, I always tell people, if you take daily medication, pack your daily medications with you. Fitz comes with me to the basement, obviously, if I'm not at work sometimes, and I make sure he has his dog collar on, because that has my information on the back of it. And, make sure you have all electronic devices charged. And I always like to have a portable phone charger that just kind of MagSafes to the back of my iPhone and will immediately start charging it. So you definitely, if you're watching this and you can hear my voice, you definitely want to go ahead and have that safe plan solidified as we head into tomorrow, because like we both have said, tomorrow could get kind of dangerous at some point in the afternoon.
Yeah, and that's something we want to be mindful of. And it's also important to remember, we had a little bit of severe weather a couple of weeks ago, but this is the first really big event, really big forecast event of the season. So it's been a while since you've needed the severe weather plan. It has collected dust on the last page of the binder. Your severe weather kit, some of the batteries might have died, things have become uncharged. So it's good to prepare now and just kind of have those things ready for the rest of the season. What you're looking at behind me, just a general area of low pressure. This is the area of low pressure that is going to be the main focus for probably the next 24 to 36 hours. An impressive cold front extending down from that and then a rather robust line of showers and thunderstorms out ahead of that cold front. All of that activity eventually going to move into the Tennessee Valley. Let's talk about the SPC outlooks.
So I'm assuming you want me to talk about it.
You know.
We are going to be very laid back on this stream because we do want to reiterate that it is very important to pay attention for tomorrow and, have everything ready to go. But at the same time, we're not here to worry you. You shouldn't be worried at all about this situation as long as you know where you're going to go for your call to action and you have everything prepared. So what Jordan has said, this is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook that they have for us. It's kind of a guidance that we use as to what areas could see the most severe thunderstorm development. This doesn't mean that only EF2 tornadoes and greater are going to be occurring in the pink color, which is actually a rare, high risk, level 5 out of 5 for southern Coleman County. Really everywhere across the Tennessee Valley has that potential to see those higher end tornadoes. So I'm talking EF2, EF3, EF4, and they potentially could be long tracked as well. But we're not only focusing on that. This isn't just a tornado threat. This is a tornado threat, a wind threat, and a hail threat combined. We're also going to be potentially dealing with damaging wind gusts of around 70 to maybe even 75 miles per hour and possibly hail up to about an inch in diameter and potentially even greater with the system tomorrow.
And what I think almost has me with reservations, I show this on TV. Yep. I've shown it on TV a lot over the last couple of days. I post it all over Facebook. But there's a lot of confusion around these, and certainly not trying to call out anybody on Facebook, but over the last couple of days, especially yesterday when the moderate risk was issued for a good chunk of North Alabama, I saw a lot of people saying, okay, I'm in the orange area, not the red area, so I'm good. No, that's not how this works. And I have a graphic for this, and I'll get to it in just a second. But like Emily was saying, just because Pulaski is in the orange and Coleman is in the red, that doesn't mean Pulaski has less to worry about. Everybody has to worry about the fact that there's a threat of severe weather. We're really kind of breaking this down as to how widespread that severe weather is going to be. So the high risk extends a little further to the south. I'll let you talk about that.
So yeah, like Jordan said, high risk. It is really for areas, central Alabama. It does clip that extreme southern portion of Coleman County. It dips all the way down to areas like Tuscaloosa. That's a heavily populated area. It includes Meridian, Mississippi, all the way down to Jackson, Mississippi. Could we see this be nudged northward? Sure. Could we see it be nudged southward? Sure. This is just what the Storm Prediction Center thinks that's going to be the scenario heading into tomorrow afternoon as of right now. Now, of course, this will be updated later on tonight, but as of right now, this is what is going to stand. And like Jordan was saying earlier, this is based off of coverage. This is not based off of the severity of where we're expecting the worst weather to happen tomorrow afternoon and heading into tomorrow night.
So then you take this, and I kind of plastered it on there in big white letters. The overall severe weather threat is slightly higher across central Alabama and then back into central Mississippi down into South Mississippi. So when I say the severe weather threat is slightly higher, now we're looking at atmospheric parameters. The amount of helicity in the atmosphere, how much natural spin does the atmosphere actually have, the amount of instability that's going to be at play. And Emily and I have literally been fumbling through these maps all morning, all afternoon.
Trying to fine-tooth comb this thing.
I have literally talked to Emily more today than I've talked to my own wife. But the one thing we keep consistently coming back to is a lot of these atmospheric parameters are slightly better to the south. Now, does that mean there's going to be no severe weather up here? Absolutely not. But what it does mean, and something you should take into account, is the fact that meteorologically, the threat is a little bit greater to the south. So let's talk about the SPC categories. And we kind of already hinted at this, but this is just kind of a graphic to put it into a little bit of perspective. When you're getting into the enhanced, and we're going to start there because that's where we started across the Tennessee Valley. Again, we're not talking about the degree of severe weather. If you're in an enhanced risk but not in a slight risk, that doesn't mean the people in the enhanced risk are going to get tornadoes and the people in the slight risk are going to get rain. We're talking about coverage. How widespread does the severe weather have the potential to be? So when you're getting into the enhanced, the moderate, and then into the high risk category, once you're talking about the moderate and the high risk category, you're really talking about more widespread severe weather. So that's something we obviously want to be mindful of. Our biggest concerns.
So as we've been, tracking this system, we've had our eyes on this, the past 5-6
Several days at this point, yeah.
But we don't like to scare tactic you guys. We are confident in our forecast, but 3 days, 4 days out from this event is sufficient time to get you prepared for it. And I know storm anxiety is real. I'm probably the most anxious person you would probably ever meet. And I will say I'm a little anxious heading into tomorrow afternoon, but that doesn't mean that I'm in full-blown panic mode where I'm packing up all of my stuff from my house and trying to flee my state away from the severe weather, which I have seen some people talk about actually doing, and I don't think that that is your safe bet because, if you go westward, where you're heading right into it, and if you go eastward, then it's coming right to you. Now, of course, you could go to Michigan if you wanted to, but it's going to take you longer to get there than it is, for this storm system to pass through. So what we're going to be watching for the most is damaging wind gusts of around 70 to 75 miles per hour. Now, the wind threat is a little higher than the tornado threat, but I would probably say that they're almost equal. It's just a tad bit higher than that tornado threat. Now, we're in our primary severe weather season, spring severe weather season. That's usually when we see the worst severe weather out of the year. And this runs from early March until probably early May, I would say. So you shouldn't be surprised that we do have an event like this happening tomorrow, could happen tomorrow. I want to go back a little bit because we were showing that SPC outlook, and I remember March of 2021, we had high risks back to back. It was literally 1 week was a high risk, the week after was a high risk as well, and both of those covered the Huntsville area, and we hardly saw any severe weather out of this, and that's what we mean by we have to have these ingredients line up at the exact same time for this type of weather event to take place. So obviously we're not going to know just exactly what's going to happen tomorrow really until it's happening. Now we could get a good idea because the system is moving west to east. So once it passes through Mississippi, that's going to kind of give us like a little bit of a baseline of what we could potentially be dealing with. But we're not going to be able to tell you if you're going to have, an EF2 tornado coming down First Avenue from 9:02 in the afternoon or night until 11:45 at night. That's not the type of things that we're going to be able to do. We're just trying to prepare you for the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work that goes into that, and I want to hit back on, you were talking about people being anxious and scared. So over the last couple of years, I have worked with Emily now for 6 years. Emily has taught me a lot about storm anxiety. So I was a senior in high school during April 27th, and I was a senior in high school absolutely nowhere near the great state of Alabama. So to me, it was just something I heard about a lot on the news. And I think a lot of problems that come with social media these days, especially in the South, a lot of people like to tap into other people's fear and anxiety. And I don't think that's the proper thing to do.
No, and I will say from a personal standpoint, I was here during April 27th, 2011. I was still in high school. And I lived in Oneonta, Alabama at the time, my hometown. My brother was actually in Tuscaloosa when the EF4 tornado literally was 2 blocks away from absolutely obliterating his apartment complex. And we could not reach him on the phone for up to 2 hours just because that's how much damage it did to Tuscaloosa. So people like that, my brother has very high storm anxiety just from that event alone. And with us talking about this and seeing people on social media talk about how they think that this is going to be worse than April 27th, or these parameters are the exact same that we saw on April the 27th, or this event is going to be April 27th all over again, that scares people and has them extremely anxious when they shouldn't be anxious at all.
No, there is absolutely no reason to be scared, because if people like Emily and myself do our jobs properly, And I like to think at this point we're pretty good at our jobs.
You're going to be safe.
Yeah, you're going to be just fine. Emily and I are the ones that do all of the worrying. We're the ones that do all of the work. You, at the end of the day, just have to follow our instructions. And if you follow our instructions, then everything is going to be good. One of the instructions is to make sure you have a proper place of shelter. Can we make this big, please? Like, make Emily and I
full
disappear.
screen,
Yeah,
if you will.
do that.
That way people can read it.
I want them to be able to read that. So if we can make Emily and I disappear, and then we just thank you so much. So there's varying levels of safe versus not safe here when it comes to an adequate tornado shelter. Unsafe, a mobile or a manufactured home. They're usually not sitting on a foundation. It takes a little bit of a wind to be able to knock some sort of mobile or manufactured home over. Large open rooms, never really going to be a great idea. Vehicles or underneath an overpass. This is a myth that I feel like has sustained itself through the decades, that sitting under an overpass is a good idea, and it's just simply not. The better option would be the interior room of a well-constructed home or building. Think like a lot of the new construction homes. In my case, it would be like the pantry, the laundry room, any other sort of closet. Those are going to be really good ideas. And then, of course, best case scenario, if you have a basement in your house, if you have your own storm shelter. Otherwise, there are a lot of publicly available storm shelters. Emily, I'll let you talk about that, or do you want me to talk about that?
It doesn't matter. You're the chief. You pick and choose, buddy.
Okay, I'll do it. Let's discuss. Okay. So you can leave it up on this graphic, if you will. I want folks to be able to read this. So I mentioned at the beginning that we were going to discuss a couple of different limiting factors. So let's look at those limiting factors, and also at the same time, this graphic kind of covers a couple of different reasons why the severe weather threat could be actually increased across the Tennessee Valley. So if the threat for severe weather remains low as we head into the overnight, early into Saturday morning, and we're somewhat limited in the activity, then the severe weather threat is actually going to increase through the course of the afternoon and then as we head into the evening. See, you would need a round of showers and thunderstorms to tap into whatever energy we have available across the Tennessee Valley through the earliest hours of Saturday morning. And if we don't really get a lot of activity out of that initial round of showers and thunderstorms, then that's actually going to increase the threat of severe weather, because there's, simply put, going to be more energy to play with as we head into Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. Now, if the severe weather is realized first south of the Tennessee Valley, so we're talking Birmingham down to Montgomery and then even across central and south Mississippi, or we get more rain early on Saturday, then the afternoon and evening threat for severe weather is actually going to drop off. And this happens a lot, right? And this is why I was talking about earlier, the threat for severe weather is actually a little greater to the south, because that was going to lead me into this point. What'll end up happening sometimes is that if severe weather moves into, say, Birmingham or Montgomery before it actually gets into the Tennessee Valley, those storms further to the south end up taking a lot of the energy that's further up to the north and sucking it down into the south. And then what we're left with across the Tennessee Valley is some moderately strong thunderstorms. Or if we get a lot of rain really early in the morning, like 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., then that could limit the amount of energy at play here. We can come back to Emily and I, and I'll let her talk about the timing.
Yeah. We've had technically 3 rounds of severe weather that we were expecting. It occurred earlier today. We saw a little bit of hail move in last night as well. But the main focus is, and we say Friday through Saturday, we're really talking about overnight. So extremely, extremely early Saturday morning. So about 1 o'clock in the morning Saturday on the western side of the Tennessee Valley. So that's going to be Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties, and it moves more centralized heading into about 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then, of course, this thing is tracking west to east, so eastern side, so Marshall, Jackson, DeKalb counties, probably going to start to see this roll into their area about 3 a.m. And then we're really expecting this first round to be over with sometime around 6 a.m. in the morning, very early tomorrow morning, I would say.
Yeah, and then this initial round of showers and thunderstorms, and we've been talking about it all week, is actually comes with a lower threat of severe weather. There's actually what's called a cap or an inversion or a capping inversion. Kind of depends on who you ask and what textbook you read as to what it's called. But there's a cap over the atmosphere right now in that normally when you go up in altitude, the temperature would normally decrease. That's just the standard order of operations. You get higher, temperature drops. When you're talking about a cap over the atmosphere, as you go up in altitude, so, if you want to put a picture on this, if you climb Montesano, as you go up in altitude, the temperature is actually going to rise. It acts as a cap. The temperature rises as you go up in altitude. And so what ends up happening is showers and thunderstorms move into the Tennessee Valley, or really any location with a cap or an inversion, whatever you'd like to call it, and they're not able to develop. One way that thunderstorms sustain themselves, and really the only way that they have the ability to sustain themselves, is to be able to go up in altitude and tap into energy. And if there's a cap or an inversion, then they're not going to be able to develop. And what it looks like is going to happen as we head into the overnight is it looks like that cap is going to be present. So while we're definitely going to get some stronger thunderstorms, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, the overall threat for severe weather is much lower than it's going to be as we head into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. So we're talking about widespread rain and widespread thunderstorms, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And again, some of this activity could definitely be on the severe end of the spectrum, but I want to continue to assure you that the threat for severe weather is going to be a little bit lower during this overnight period. And then we're actually going to begin to get a little bit of a break through the middle and later part of the morning before we end up talking about round 2, Emily.
Which is what everyone is calling the main event, the main attraction, whatever you want to call it. This is the period of the day that we need to be extremely aware of the weather and what is going on. And this is the time of day that you want to pay attention to the most, if you're going to pay attention at all.
Yeah.
I get it. We get caught up in life. We don't necessarily think, I need to check the weather and see what's going on. This is going to be the time that you absolutely want to know exactly what is happening at each hour of the day, all the way up until late tomorrow night. So we're thinking the secondary round looks like it's going to start around 11 a.m. on the western side. So like I mentioned earlier, Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties becomes more centralized along I-65 right around noon. And then by 1 o'clock, it looks like it's going to be on the eastern side. So Jackson, DeKalb, Marshall counties until about 1 o'clock. Now, you do see the 12 a.m., the 7 p.m., and the 8 p.m. ending. That's because we have consistent severe weather that could develop within this time period. The actual cold front isn't expected to move through until later that night. It's what develops out ahead of it that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as well.
Yeah, and once this activity really begins to move into the Tennessee Valley, so here's Futurecast once again at noon, and we can bring this full once again. So here's Futurecast at noon, beginning to see the showers and thunderstorms build into the Tennessee Valley, and this activity is going to continue to become more widespread through the heart of the afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at this. We're talking about widespread showers and thunderstorms across the Tennessee Valley. Normally, what we end up getting really used to is just a standard squall line. It kind of moves in and it kind of moves out, and there it's done. That's not going to be the case this time around. What looks like is going to end up happening this time around is we're going to get widespread rounds of showers and thunderstorms, and then within the widespread shower and thunderstorm activity, you're going to get these embedded supercells that are going to develop, and within these embedded supercells is going to be that embedded tornado threat. Now, I say this isn't going to be your standard squall line feature, and then kind of the grand finale of the whole thing is going to be something of a squall line looking-esque thing in nature that is going to move through as we head into the middle and later part of the evening. So you can look at the clock there, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. There is that incredibly robust band of showers and thunderstorms. Within that band of showers and thunderstorms, you're going to get the gusty winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour. If there's enough energy to tap into, then you have the potential to get those dangerous long-track tornadoes. And the technical term for a dangerous tornado is one whose intensity is at least NEF2. And then as we head into the later part of the evening, early into the overnight, we're finally going to begin to quiet things down across the Tennessee Valley. Some additional bands of showers and thunderstorms might move in as we head into the earliest hours of Sunday morning. But by that point, we should be pretty much done with the threat of severe weather.
So we always talk about it's good to have multiple ways to receive warnings if they do become issued tomorrow, which I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a couple of tornado warnings, just because we are going to have that type of atmosphere tomorrow. First and foremost, you can scan this QR code that we've got right here on the screen, and it's going to automatically take you to whatever app store that your phone uses, and it's going to take you to where you will be able to download our FOX54 app. After you download the app, that's when you're wanting to go into your settings, your notifications, and you want to turn notifications on specifically for the FOX54 app, because if we do have any sort of incredibly different, changed development that we're expecting to happen tomorrow, as in if the SPC decides to slide the high risk more northward, anything like that that's going to drastically change the forecast, we're going to push that out on our FOX54 app, as well as any impending tornado warnings that we might see. And you're going to be the first to be alerted that way. And obviously, a NOAA weather radio is going to be probably, I would say, the best bet, because they are extremely loud, they are county-based, and you're definitely not going to miss this notification at all if a NOAA weather radio goes off for your county. And then, of course, if we do have any sort of tornado warning tomorrow, we are going to break into whether we have a basketball game on, we've got gymnastics on late tomorrow, we will definitely break in for that, because your life and your safety is what is most important to us tomorrow. So we're going to be on television, and of course you can find us both on social media. Jordan's Facebook page is Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman, whereas mine is just Emily Owen. And of course, we'll have multiple ways of streaming our live coverage tomorrow if that does happen. We're going to be live on television, but the power may go out, so you've got your phone. You'll be able to watch us on Facebook. Our FOX54 Facebook page will be streaming our live coverage as a Facebook Live. We'll also be live on YouTube. There's going to be multiple ways for you to be able to watch us if your TV signal does go out, the power goes out, and of course we're going to be on that FOX54 app as well, streaming on that.
Yeah, so really, and you can come back to us, please. What Emily is saying is it is almost impossible
to miss us.
To miss our coverage, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's done by design. It's intended to be that way because, again, we are talking about the potential for a significant severe weather event across the Tennessee Valley. And so we obviously want you to stay abreast to changing conditions and changing forecasts as things continue to evolve as we head into the overnight. We're going to wrap up this, but we do have other updates that are going to come, I believe, at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. The 8 o'clock hour, I'll do another Facebook Live, and then we'll have another update at the 9 o'clock hour. So if you're watching whatever sports are on Fox tonight and you want a brief little check of the weather, you'll be able to do that on Fox 54 Plus. We'll be streaming that, and be sure to just keep you up to date.
Yeah, and we've been talking about, your life and your safety is what's most important to us. So we're going to be watching things like a hawk behind the scenes tomorrow. We're probably not going to take our eyes off of the radar at all. And of course, if we have any sort of tornado warning that we do need to break in for, we're absolutely going to do that. But we're, like Jordan said, we're going to go ahead and sign things off on our 54 Plus live stream. We've got other updates that's coming up as well, so make sure to tune in for those. And I say this lightly, but I hope you don't have to see us tomorrow and we have to break into coverage.
I'd really like it if you didn't see my face.
But we are going to be prepared for worst case scenario, which is what you should be as well. Go ahead and have that safe place plan ready to go. Have those backup chargers that you need for your phone, anything like that, and just be ready to go. Be prepared and not scared.